Hi, this is Alicia Bowling with Creative Laughter TV Beyond Logic, and today's special guest is psychic medium Jill M. Jackson, who's also known as the Mississippi Medium. Jill is a teacher, an international speaker, a psychic investigator, and an animal activist. She is a pint-sized Southern belle with a bigger-than-life gift. So please welcome Jill Jackson. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Alicia. How are you?
So happy you're joining us.
I'm thrilled.
So, one of the things I really love to ask the psychics, because people are very curious about this, like, how did you become psychic? Is it something that you were born with? I always say, did you get hit by lightning? Did you give birth and all of a sudden it bursted a bubble in your head or something? So what exactly happened to you, and how did this gift come about for you?
Well, I was actually born a medium, which means that you can see spirits that have crossed over to the other world. And I was able to see my grandmother when she passed away. I was 12 years old, and she woke me up one night. She was floating above my bed and looked beautiful and young and not sick anymore, and just wanted to let me know she was good.
And this didn't scare you as a child?
Before that, I was frightened out of my mind because I would see random people walking around my house, and I had no idea why they were there. So it wasn't until my grandmother showed herself to me that I sort of realized, okay, this isn't anything to be afraid of.
So this brings up that whole thing, imaginary friend. I don't, those imaginary friends running around.
Right. Yeah.
So do you feel like a lot of children are psychic and that's why they're bringing up these imaginary friends? Or do you believe that they're just really making it up in their head?
No, 99% of the time when children have an imaginary friend, that is one of their spirit guides or one of their guardian angels. So that's one of my passions, is helping young people to figure out that this is a gift and not to feel so abnormal.
So how do most children determine, if 90%, then what kind of percentage decide, or spirit decides for them, whatever the case may be, that they're going to move forward and share this gift with other people, as where the other ones just, after that imaginary friend, block it off and move on?
That is a great question. And I tell everybody that comes to study with me that it is a calling. And just because you are called to increase your intuition or increase your psychic ability doesn't mean at all that this is your life's calling. And I recommend that people spend a good amount of time studying with other spiritual teachers before they really make that determination for themselves. Now, I can say that a lot of people that have a near-death experience, that is their calling after that point. It sort of awakens and unlocks something within them. And then they have an awareness that this is what they're supposed to be doing.
So let's say you have a very strong Catholic family, and even though you inside, the same thing is, like I had said to somebody else, like coming out, being gay, liking the opposite sex, whatever the case may be. What if your family's not on board for that? What if they just think you're weird? So you have to hold this in. So you don't really have someone to talk to or to move this forward. What do you think about that? And what do you suggest that they do?
Yes, unfortunately, this happens many, many times. And that's one of my passions as well, is to try to educate people that this is from the light. This is nothing demonic. It's nothing evil. And I just tell people to stand in their power and stand in their truth. And that's easier to do the older that you get. Sometimes younger people do have a little bit more challenge with that, but
that's for damn sure. It's super funny because when you watch TV, all you see are these ghost hunter shows and these spooky movies and like It and all this crazy stuff, but they don't really show the nice spiritual side. They always make it so haunting, and everything in the metaphysical world is not frightening and haunting. Don't you agree?
I definitely agree. And I know that that's one thing that we're trying to do as well, is raise the awareness and let people know that, we're really sort of normal people, but, we live normal lives. We do our thing and we enjoy life. And most of us are not sitting in a dark room, with a crystal ball all day long.
Well, okay. So I know your sister, Wendy, and I know she has a very strong personality. So how did Wendy, growing up with her, your sister, how did that come about? I know that we have discussed before that Wendy does not have this gift. She admits absolutely she does not have a gift. So how does that all come about, and how does that relationship work with her being so different?
Yeah, it just wasn't her path this time around. She has so many other gifts. She's has a great personality. She's crazy and funny. And, in my household, it was my mom and myself that could see and hear and talk to spirits. My mom had the gift, but she really never wanted to claim it because she did not want the responsibility that comes with it. So it was sort of a running joke between she and myself when she would say, I'm not a medium. And then the next day she said, did you see that woman walking down the hall last night? And I said, oh, I thought you're not a medium, Mom.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, I do know. Everyone should know that Jill and her family are extremely close. They're like thick as thieves, the three of them. And Jill, recently, her mother had passed away, God rest her soul. And the whole reason why Jill and her sister had to move back to Mississippi or chose to move back to Mississippi was to help your mother transition. And I think that's such a lovely story that you both did that. And of course, that's how you became the Mississippi medium. But the whole thing about the two of you moving back there, because Wendy's from California. So how is all that? And how are you all coping with that? And I know that you still live in the house where your mother lived. Does she come down? Does she talk to you? And how's that all going?
It's interesting because she does come and visit me, but since we were so very close, every time she comes and visits me, I start bursting out crying. And the last time that she came to visit me, she said to me, this is why I don't come more often, Jay, because she called me Jay. It's because I don't want to see you cry. And when I come, you cry. And so I said, no, keep coming. I promise I won't cry. And then every time she comes again, I start crying. So she actually visits my sister a lot. Even though my sister's not a medium, my sister has learned through a lot of what I do about signs and how to feel our loved one's presence. So that makes me really happy that my sister's able to feel my mom around her.
That's nice. Okay, she's not the crier. She goes, let me visit the non-emotional one. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about that I think people will get such a kick out of, because people always ask me this, well, if you're psychic, why can't you predict the lottery or why can't you do this? But most psychics cannot read themselves. It's rare, right?
Very true. Every once in a while, in fact, I told Daniel, who is now my husband, I said, whenever I get a prophetic dream or a vision, you need to listen because they do not hit us like lightning very often. But when they do, we need to listen. And so that's why we find other colleagues to trade with. And, because it's really hard to get guidance for ourselves.
Well, I absolutely love the story of you and your husband, Daniel. Tell everybody about your psychic reading and that whole evening that came about and how you and Daniel ended up together, because it's a great story.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my dear friends and colleagues, Leanna, had done a reading for me about a year before I met my husband. And she told me that my husband would have a name that begins with a D. And she described what he will look like. She described his personality, his blue eyes. She also said that he was going to have a great love for shoes, and that the night I met him, there would be something mentioned about shoes, and that I would meet him in an upscale bar, like a wine bar or something like that. And sure enough, a year later, that's exactly what happened. And it was very serendipitous as to how we ended up there at the same time. Neither one of us were planning on even going that night. And when he came up and introduced himself, his name's Daniel, everything else fell into place. And I knew that night that I had met my twin flame.
That is so funny. I know whenever I think of the two, I always think of the Ghost of Mrs. Muir, which I'm probably dating myself because you live in the house with your mother talking to you and everything. And then the Psychic Honeymoon show because of you and Daniel, And I think it's so funny how you two banter now off thoughts and things, especially with sports. Like,
Daniel's a lot better than I am at predicting sports events and things like that. And, we didn't even get a chance to talk yet, Alicia, about how psychic Daniel is and how he neglected to even tell me that part of it until after we were married. And he started talking about how he was able to see spirits as a child himself and things like that. And so he started taking my courses with me, and he's very, very gifted himself. So it's quite interesting with the two of us now. And the more that he's been around me, the more his gifts are activated, which is so unbelievable.
Yeah, it is amazing because he is very low key, and you would never think in 1,000 years that he would be psychic. So it is very interesting. So you're training him now. And so do you foresee you working as a husband-wife team in the psychic world, or you're going to do it separately? Maybe because I know that you do global speaking. Would you bring him along?
Possibly. We're just sort of allowing spirit to navigate the way for us and see what they have in store for us. But I do know that it is his gift. And I do know he has been told by many other psychics, many other Akashic record readers that I've exposed him to, that it is his path. So we're just kind of excited to see how it all unfolds.
Actually, I don't really think there's ever been a psychic husband-wife team. So actually, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm very fascinated because I know that you're involved a lot in psychic investigations. And I love that. And you're working with law enforcement and different people to help missing children and even animals. I know you love animals. So tell me a little bit about that project and what you do with that. People need to know that.
Yeah, my group that I formed is called Psychic Investigations. And what it is a nonprofit as far as we do the work pro bono, and we try to help people that either have cold cases or missing persons or things of that nature. And we just try to bring some type of closure to the family. And the way it works is when we accept a case, and by that I mean my assistant takes the case in and none of us really know what's going on with it. And she will submit it out to the group. And then we all tune in. We all get our investigation details and type it up and submit it at the same time so that nobody can really feed off of anybody else's energy. Not that we would copy anybody else, but we don't even want to be exposed to the energy of what each of us is receiving. And then we just compile that and take all the similarities and use that to help with our findings.
Oh, I love that. Well, absolutely. Plug yourself right now. Tell people how they can get in touch with you and your team if they need any help with this.
Absolutely. My website is MississippiMedium.com or JillMJackson.com. And there's actually a page on my website that says Psychic Investigations. And there's a form on there where people can fill it out and submit it. And obviously we can only do one case at a time. This is work that we do pro bono. So our assistant goes through and determines which case needs the most attention. And that's how we handle them from there.
Oh, I love that. That's great. So everyone out there that's listening and you need this sort of help, this is definitely the person to call, let me tell you. So I want to talk to you a little bit about your animal activist. You know, I'm a huge animal person too, and I love the fact that you fight for animals because I think that's really important.
Absolutely. I'm not only a medium, I do, like I said, it's my calling to help animals and to be their voice because the animals really don't have a voice. My view is let's leave wild animals out in the wild where they belong and let's not chain them up and get them to do silly little acts for our amusement. You know, we've come far enough in our evolution and our awareness that we can amuse ourselves with other ways.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, even when people are dressing up, I mean, everyone has the right to do whatever they want. So nobody call me and yell at me. But, you know, dressing up your animals and making them do all this crazy stuff.
To me, that's animal abuse that someone would do something like that. Now, as far as putting little cute clothes on, every animal's different. And that's where a really good animal communicator can come into play because, you know, I talk to some animals that really love dressing up. They really love getting their picture taken and some are camera shy, just like people.
Right. So let's talk about a little gossip. I love to gossip. I love celebrity gossip. So what do you think of this whole thing with Kylie and Khloe? Do you feel they're both pregnant? Do you feel like, you know, this family is just procreating and, you know? There's
a lot of drama around that family. And unfortunately, it feels like they thrive on the drama. But yes, I do feel like that they are both pregnant.
Yeah. And it's amazing how long this show has lasted. There's no sign of slowing down.
Yeah, you know, I don't even know what to say about that either. I feel like one of the children's going to be a boy and one's going to be a girl. So I don't follow it myself. So I don't even know what's being reported on it. But that's just what I just got psychically.
Okay, so Jill, let's talk about our favorite subject, politics. So my whole thing with this presidency, which I'm amazed about, is why are we getting a president, anyone who's in their 70s, late 60s? Like, it makes no sense to me. Like, isn't this the time when you start getting ailments? What's going on with our world that nobody is jumping in the middle section who wants to represent our country? It's amazing to me.
Well, I feel like that everything that's happening right now, and I'm going to try to stay neutral myself.
Very hard for us, folks.
Yes, and we're going to try to keep it clean and not use any any four-letter words here. But a lot of times when we as a people are ready to increase our consciousness levels, we are exposed to things like that are going on right now within our politics. And I would say that the majority of people, even if they don't share the same political views, can agree that it's just a crazy dynamic right now all across the board. And sometimes, and I will give a psychic prediction here, there are many, many changes coming even more changes coming to this administration. And I do not see this president going full term. And so I feel like that it's an opportunity for us as a people to really come together and decide what it is that we want, and not only what we want, but what we demand.
Yeah, that's more important, what we demand. You know, that brings up something very interesting. I was telling another friend of mine, I was bored one night, and so I was Googling, predictions about the president, whatever. And one person was very adamant about almost like what you're saying, and it pretty much said everything that's been going down and that he's definitely not going full term. And then there's this other person who pretty much said he's not only going to go for full term, but he's actually going to go another term. And even though his unorthodox ways don't agree with everybody, he cares about our country, he's for us, and he's going to help us. Now, in my head, and I know everybody else is thinking this too, and this gives psychics kind of a bad name. It makes people not believe in it as much, because they're like, well, how could one person say this and then another person say something so far to the right? What do you make of that?
Well, that's a great point. And with psychics, none of us are 100% accurate. And the reason for that is a word called free will. And thankfully, we all have free will, and we can make our choices not only daily, but by the hour and by the minute. And so all you can do as a psychic is tune into the energy of what is going on right now, and you can see a probable outcome. But timelines can shift. And again, that's a really deep subject matter that a lot of people may not understand, but we can have different timeline shifts where we can see something, and then maybe the consciousness of the people are not ready. And so a different timeline comes in and plays out that way.
Well, a lot of people also bring this up. Well, it didn't come true. Like, they just had a psychic reading, and what the psychic said didn't come true the next day. And they're like, oh, they're not really accurate. And then like 8 years later, it comes true into detail. I try to explain to everybody that there is no time in the universe.
That's very true. And the spirit world, we are in the third dimension. And so we are very linear. We're very time sensitive, time and date sensitive. And, in the spirit world, there is no time. And so when we are receiving guidance, a lot of times the timing can be off. And what I can say about that too is I have so many people asking me, when's my soulmate coming in? And
the number one question.
Yes, it's one of the number one questions other than what's my life purpose. But what I can do is look into their auric field and see, are you ready? Or is this person ready? Have they cleared out everything from their past or the things they're holding on to? Because when it's your soulmate or your twin flame that's coming in, the universe really wants it to be divine and perfect timing where both people are ready. And so sometimes you'll meet Mr. Wrong when you're not ready. But when it's time for Mr. or Mrs. Right, you really need to be in perfect alignment.
Explain to the audience what an auric field is, because I'm sure a lot of people just went, huh?
What? So our aura can actually extend out up to 20 something feet. But it's just the field. There's a mental body, emotional body, spiritual body, etheric. And so they're just different layers outside of your physical body. And you can also learn to tune in and see other people's auric fields.
Oh, that's really cool. And tell everybody what a soul contract is, because you had brought that up before, and probably a lot of people are wondering what that is as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I write about this extensively in my book that's coming out hopefully next year. It's almost done. Anyway, a soul contract is what happens before you incarnate into your current lifetime and you meet with your spirit guides. I like to call them your spirit team. And you kind of get together and you go to different life previews. And that's when you decide, do I want to be a male this time? Do I want to be a female this time? Where do I want to live? Who are people that I want to come into contact with and have relationships with, have friendships with, and so forth. And so soul contracts are agreements that you make, that we all make before we come to this earth, to this incarnation, about things that we would like to accomplish. And so I don't like the word lessons, but I like the word opportunities. And so soul contracts are opportunities for us to expand our soul growth, because that's what it's all about. We're all striving to become enlightened. And, most of us will not achieve perfect enlightenment in this lifetime, but it is what we're striving to do, to be better people. And so that's what a soul contract is. And
it's always funny when people say to me, well, why can't they win the lotto, or why don't they live in a mansion? But I don't think people realize psychics are humans just like us, and they have soul contracts and they have learning lessons. So if their contract has to do with money, then you know what? Then it's their gift to the world to help everybody else out, and they have to control their money, right?
Absolutely. And, these gifts that we have been given are not about helping someone or even ourselves win the lottery. They are about helping us advance in our soul growth as people and as soul, our light bodies. So it's not about that. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with striving for abundance. I try to help students that study with me that are meant to do this spiritual work. That's one of my pet peeves is when somebody says to me, well, why do you charge so much? This was a gift from God and you should be doing it for free. And I have a light bill and a car bill just like you do. And,
right.
I love it too, to point out to them, well, what about people with a beautiful singing voice? That's a gift from God, yet they make a lot more than I do when they do their concerts.
Right. So what do you say to those people that, you give readings to and you almost feel like they're testing you? Like they come to you, they're paying for a reading, but yet they're testing everything you're saying. I'm sure you get those.
Well, thankfully, I don't get that as much as I used to because my rates are what they are. But in the beginning, when my rates were lower, when I was just getting started out, yes, you do get that a lot. But like I said, nobody's really going to pay the higher rates and come in to test someone. But what I would say to people out there is this is something that we all should be part of in the reading. It's not only the sitter, the person that's getting the reading is called the sitter, and it's not only the medium, but it's also the spirit world, whether you're talking to the spirit guides or deceased loved ones. So it's like a three-way street. And with open energy, you get the most amazing readings. And so I have no problem at all with someone being a little bit of a skeptic, because trust me, there are days, Alicia, where I say to myself, how the hell did that just happen? I mean, it still blows my mind after all these years. So I can understand people being skeptic, but all I ask them to do is come in with an open mind and then make their decision after the reading.
So the other thing I'm very fascinated about, and everybody can do this out there, is manifest. And you can write wish lists, right? Do you believe in manifestation? Do you believe that people can bring things to themselves with a positive mind?
Well, I love it that you brought that up, because my book is actually all about that. And yes, we can manifest, but if it goes against our soul contract, then it may not be something that we're able to manifest. So I teach people how to recognize the difference. And so when you're creating a vision board or when you're creating a manifestation list and you feel like that you are receiving obstacles along the way, learning to really get to know your soul, your soul's purpose, what you came here to do will help you understand, okay, well, I didn't come here in this lifetime to be a billionaire. I came here, not that we still can't have the abundance. And I'm talking about if this is just your life path, your life purpose, or your soul contract. And so I'm teaching about that in my book. Yes, manifestation is real, and we should have positive attitudes and positive intentions, but it goes a lot deeper than that. There's past lives that come into play. There's soul contracts and soul tribes and so many other fascinating things.
So what's a soul tribe?
A soul tribe is a group of souls that whenever you step onto the path that you came here to do, and sometimes that means cutting ties with people in your life that may no longer serve you, people that are negative or people that don't support your choices or who you are, or there's judgment around that, and you choose to disconnect from those people, then what happens is it creates the energy for you to start meeting your soul tribe. And the people in your soul tribe have similar likes. They have similar beliefs. They have similar missions in life. So if you, for example, if you are an animal activist, then you will start meeting people that become part of your soul tribe that share those same life missions with you. And a lot of times, Alicia, those people end up being even closer to you than blood, family relatives.
Right. Well, Jill, it is always a joy talking to you. And Jill's going to be a regular on our podcast. So we're super excited about that. And if you want a reading with Jill and you want to find out more about her and the things that she does and her scheduled events, go to jillmjackson.com. And Jill, it was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Alicia. And one other thing, if I could, I would like to tell people about is if you go to my homepage and sign up for my free newsletter, that is the best way to find out what events I have going on. I travel all over the country. And I also have an exciting new academy, and it's called Intuitive Compass Academy. Find Your True North. And I'm going to have online classes to help people learn how to do what I do, tap into your intuition, tap into your mediumship if that's something that you've been experiencing. And I'm also having a class to teach people how to determine their life purpose, what they came here to do. And that's one of my passions. So I'm so excited to share that with all the listeners.
Oh, I love that. So you're going to have a lot of online classes so people from around the globe can join in?
Absolutely. If you go to the homepage of jillmjackson.com or MississippiMedium.com, and you'll scroll down to the bottom and it says sign up for the free newsletter. And again, I will send out notification about the classes. And yes, wherever you are in the world, you can participate in the beginning levels online. And it's me with videos, me talking and teaching through audio, through text, through reading. And then the higher levels will be me teaching through either Zoom or something like that. So you'll be able to ask questions. And then the more advanced level is in person. So I'm super excited to be launching this new academy. And Spirit gave me the name, and the tagline is Find Your True North.
Oh, I love that. Well, let me tell you, everybody out there should definitely look her up, definitely get a reading or do a class with her, because I can tell you personally, she's off the charts. So thank you so much, Jill, for joining us. And remember, you create your life, you create your future. This is Alicia Bowling with Beyond Logic.